Next up will be the presentation of awards. Sandra, if you can give me a hand with this. First off is going to be the awards of merit, or Frank?
Oh, okay, you do that. All right.
I didn't know you were taping.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
First off is the awards of merit. These awards recognize renovations of houses or buildings that contribute to improving the character of their neighborhoods and maintaining the overall historic fabric of the city. The first one we have is for 17 East Monmouth Street, Tommy Beavers. This is a two-story house, single-family house that Tommy has worked on for probably a couple years, I think. This is his personal house. He's done the inside of the house, and then this year he finished up with the exterior of it. Accepting for Tommy is Nancy Murphy.
Yeah. Tommy's racing a car today, so accepting for him. He's done a great job on this house. And this is his third year in a row.
Third year in a row.
Yeah.
And I believe at the membership event, Tommy was also the winner of the most number of new members. The second award of merit goes to Bonnie Blue Southern Market and Bakery. It's 334 West Boscawen Street. If you head down this way, you've seen it. You can't miss it. Business owners are Stephen Petler, Christian Schweiger, and Brian Palat. This building was originally built in 1920s as a gas station, and they just recently renovated it into a bakery and market. You can tell just by going by there that it's added a great segue into the city. It's taken it from something that you would look past to something now that you look at, and hopefully they look and stop and eat. Yep. Thank you, guys. The next award of merit is 120 East Clifford Street, Alec and Lindsay Bolden and Richard Shannon. Don't think they were here today. Nancy's going to accept for them.
Okay, Alex's excuse is it's his anniversary and they're out of town. And this is Alex's second year in a row.
The next award of merit goes to 608 South 10th Street, celebrating Patsy Cline Museum. I think we've all seen this go from a house that was rented out to being renovated and now used as a Patsy Cline Museum. We think it's just a great addition to the South 10th Street area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. This is an honor for us. We feel you all are special to us because actually you gave us our start about 15 years ago when we received monies from the Blues House. Quite a large sum that helped us purchase the house. And then also you allowed us to store Patsy's famous collection upstairs as well in the secret hidden place that no one knew of. It's not there anymore. It's not there, no. It's been moved since.
Our files.
But thank you. This is to be accepted, to be recognized by our peers. This is quite an honor for us. Thank you very much.
The next award is the Ben Belchek Award. This award is named in honor of Ben Belchek, who is a founding member of PHW. He was an active member of the Winchester Frederick County Historical Society. So the Belchek Award recognizes a significant contribution to understanding Winchester's history. These nominations are generally presented for written texts such as books, maps, National Register nominations, and guided tours. This year's Ben Belchek Award goes to the Handley Regional Library, The First 100 Years by Pat Ritchie, Trish Ridgway, and Bob Grog.
Well, we are a committee of 4. We did mention John Burns, who designed the book. He did a gorgeous job of it as well. And all of them wanted to be here but couldn't make it. So I'm glad to be representing all of those people who worked so hard to bring it about. Thank you.
And is it for sale?
Yes, I had one copy for sale with me today.
The next award is the Patron Award. This award recognizes a person or business which has been outstanding supporter of the goals and programs of PHW. This award usually recognizes a financial component such as donations, fundraising, and efforts. And this year the award goes to Dr. John Chesson. John renovated the Samuel Noakes house that we have kept up with through the whole process on the website, and was part of the Holiday House Tour, and when it was still under construction, and then at the end when it was finalized, we had a special event down there, and we very much appreciate everything you've done for us this year.
I hate public speaking, but I will say it was really daunting to find myself the owner of this piece of Winchester. It seems like everyone had their first haircut at that barber shop. And I was like the new guy who had this place, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with it? So, and then that only got worse because I sort of was pursuing the tax credits at first and tried to shake down Richmond and wound up getting fired by Marl Calbian, and that was interesting. So it was a total relief when Nancy Murphy showed up in my dumpster and blessed the project and told me it's okay, repurposing is allowed. It's okay. So I got Nancy's blessing, and then she said, get off that wood, I want that piece of wood on your foot. But she introduced me to Sandra, and Sandra was a taskmaster for that crazy blog. I think we're on episode like 40. If anyone's seen it, I just send the pictures in, and Sandra makes them look great. So, and then the Holiday House Tour came, and so I sort of met the spectrum. Frank showed up at my door on a Sunday, unannounced. I said no to the Holiday House Tour, and then I had to say yes. Frank he shook me down. So, anyway, I agree with Trish. It's nice to be recognized, and it's nice to be accepted by your peers. And thanks for honoring the project and all your support.
The next award is the Elsie Rosenberger Award. This award is named in honor of Elsie Rosenberger, who volunteered at PHW behind the scenes in the 1970s to the 1980s. This award recognizes the unsung volunteer or volunteers who selflessly contributed to the activities of PHW. This year's award goes to Deborah Johnson for her continued work at the Bow and Dough Shop during the Holiday House Tour. Deborah served on the PHW board from 2008 to 2011 and as secretary, and then she started her association with the Bow and Dough Shop as co-chair with Darla McCrary in 2010, and she has pretty much been the main force behind the Bow and Dough Shop for the last few years and also for this upcoming year. Deborah was going to be here today, but she had to cancel at the last minute and sent an email that I wanted to read if I can make this work. Yeah, you have no idea how much.
The term smartphone refers to the phone, not to the user.
Exactly. I'm close. Okay. Says, I can't make it today. I'm showing potential rental property, blah, blah, blah. Many thanks to the board for the award. I'm continuing to organize the Bow and Dough for this December, and we have an excellent lineup of vendors this year with many new offerings. All baked goods will be made from scratch by local bakers as well. It's also exciting that Nancy will not only have loads of greenery, Nancy being Nancy Murphy, but wreaths will be made on site, and the make-it-yourself option should generate a lot of fun. Volunteering for the PHW's Bow and Dough Shop has been a pleasure. The availability of the Winchester Little Theater couldn't be better, including working with the amazing Dolly and Karen of the Winchester Little Theater, who are so helpful in adding carolers in costume, tours of the building, and promoting PHW. So that goes to Deborah. The next award is the Lifetime Achievement Award. This award recognizes a person who has worked for the goals and programs of PHW over many years. Lifetime achievements are a recognition of slow and steady work for preservation efforts over the long term. This year we're presenting the award to Mr. John G. Lewis. Mr. Lewis was born in Richmond in 1930. From 1955 to 1964, he restored, lived in, and sold 5 historic properties in Loudoun County, 4 of which are on the state and national register. He also restored a residence in Winchester. During the time he had a private practice as a restoration consultant. In 1970, he became a local regional representative for the Virginia Historic Landmarks Commission, now known as the Department of Historic Resources. He's conducted surveys, measured structures, and documented over 600 structures in the counties of Loudoun, Clark, Frederick and Fairfax, Fauquier, and Prince William. In 1979, he and his family moved to the Shenandoah Valley and became active in the Winchester Frederick County Historical Society, continuing his crusade to research and document historic buildings and areas. He purchased his last home to restore from the revolving fund of Preservation of Historic Winchester, and his book, Ladies, Liquor, and Laughter, Mischief of an Architectural Historian from the 1930s to the 1970s in Loudoun County, is full of his memories and growing up in Loudoun County. Karen Clay is going to accept on behalf of Mr. Lewis passed away on April 4th of this year, so Karen Clay is going to accept on behalf of the family.
I'm sure many of you remember John Lewis. It was sad when he retired and went out to Washington State to live with his daughter. We lost a wonderful architectural historian here and a hard worker. And John was always behind the scenes. He was not in the front, in the forefront, but he tirelessly gave of his time. We have more documented drawings and historic notes and reference materials and PHW files that we're still using today. He loved architecture. He loved the history behind it. When he retired, at Christmas, we exchanged cards, and his English humor, he had such a dry wit, would come through in his holiday greeting cards. He wasn't too thrilled about being stuck in an island up in, I believe it was Camano Island off Washington State, but that's where his daughter and his grandchildren are. It's a great loss that John is no longer with us, but if any of you corresponded or received anything from John, you know that fantastic archaic typewriter that he sent all his correspondence with. And it was very distinctive. I'm sure John's looking down from above, and he's greatly appreciative of this award. We'll miss him greatly. And I thank PHW for recognizing him.
The next award is special recognition for the City of Winchester. Frank touched on it briefly, and I'm going to read a little description that Mark Lohr came up with for this award. Successful historic preservation occurs in the context of vigorous adaptive use, encouraging the community's regard for its past while enhancing economic development for the future. The city's well-planned and well-executed utilities and paving project on the Old Town Mall this past winter was the most significant, but also only the latest in a series of projects aimed at revitalizing Winchester's original downtown, including the introduction of two-way traffic, the new design features on major arteries, sidewalk, and curb replacement. This infrastructural upgrade has spurred redevelopment on numerous properties in recent years and will foster greater commercial and popular use of Old Town. As such, it marks a substantial contribution to the continued protection of the mall's notable architecture and streetscape in one of Virginia's most historic urban sites. And I saw Tim, are you here for this award, I believe?
Well, no, do I want to take credit? No, Mayor Minor wasn't able to make it, and City Manager Dale Iman was also out of town. So I said, well, this was really an effort by Karen Helm and Perry Eisenach on behalf of the city staff. But Perry said, no, Tim, you're in town, come on up. So I'm only receiving it on behalf of the city. But I can attest to the fact that the work that all the folks who were involved in this project, it is paying off, because I'm seeing a lot more interest in terms of redevelopment projects and reuse of buildings downtown. Thank you.
We have a few certificates of appreciation this year. We have several board members that are going off the board, and we want to make sure that we show our appreciation for them. First is Richard Bell. Richard is a board member from 2009 until basically today. He has been president and past president, and Richard has basically gone from the frying pan into the fire, as he's now a member of the Winchester School Board. So we want to appreciate Richard for all his work he's done while he was on our board. The next person going off is Mark Lohr. Mark has been a board member from 2009 to 2013. Mark is very, very active in volunteer work, not only with PHW, but he's also with the Magic Lantern Theater, the Coalition for Racial Unity, Board of Architectural Review, a number of events. And Mark was always the first person to volunteer for the holiday house tour to chair one of the particular houses. Don't think this is going to get you out of that. If you want to say it, the last certificate of appreciation is for Frank. Frank has been a board member for, and I'll hand it to you. You can read it. Frank has been a PHW board member from 2005 to 2013. I think we lost something. Oh, okay. Must be your aura has helped us. He's done 2 stints as president, and he's headed the back then it was known as the Development Committee. He was the chairman of that. When I think of Frank, I think of Mr. PHW. Frank and his wife Susie has decided that Winchester is too cold in the winter. This coming from somebody that summers up in Canada, but they're going to be moving to Florida. So Frank is going to have to be resigning from the PHW board. But through the beauty of emails, we're not going to leave him alone. Thank you.
One of the privileges, the microphone lasts. I have to tell you a story. First of all, thanks for that certificate. I'm glad it wasn't posthumous. I met George Schember on the mall. He had a booth up touting PHW. We got to talking, and I said, I'm really interested in PHW. He nodded his head, and didn't see him again for another year. And then I approached him again and said, I'm really interested in PHW, and I'd really like to get involved. And he nodded his head and didn't hear from him. The next thing that happened was my wife got a phone call saying, we'd like you to be on the board. And she said, well, thanks, but why don't you talk to my husband? And so I was, of course, the second best choice. And I came on the board, and at that time, George had gone off to do other things. So we were at that moment, without a vice president-elect. No one to step into to Howard Cattell's shoes when he rolled off the board. So Howard raised this at a board meeting, out of the blue, without notice. And he says, we need a president-elect, and does anyone have any ideas? And one of our board members, who is no longer with us, didn't die, I mean just no longer on the board, said, I nominate Frank Wright. Everybody looks around and said, who? Howard says, anybody else not to be nominated? No one else. Deadly silence. So it was me. And I had the good fortune, much like Patsy Cline, who died early, Buddy Holly, who died in a plane crash. I had the great fortune to have the city council vote 14-1 to overrule the BAR and to tear down a block of houses on South Kent Street. And I got to sue the city. And so that is almost as good as crashing in an airplane. So anyway, since that time, I would like to think that the city has, not because of what we've done, but the city has shown remarkable interest in historic preservation, has spent a lot of time and a lot of money, and we've recognized the city on this and several occasions. We need the city's help, and we have the city's help, and they're leading the charge now. So anyway, that's a long story to say it's been a privilege, literally a privilege to serve in this office. And I've said many times before, I will say again, in standing here, I stand on the shoulders of giants that went ahead of me. Betsy Helm and Pat Zontin among them. And so I'm humbled to hold this office, always have been, and I'm humbled now to say goodbye to you all. I will stop back on my way between Canada and Florida to say howdy. Thank you very much.
That pretty much concludes the awards. Just a couple last housekeeping things. One, I want to acknowledge and thank Tony with Blind Faith for providing the sound system for us, so we didn't have to all yell. There is beer and wine on the front porch, and Sandra and Marlena will be giving tours through the Hexagon House for anybody that wants. And then if I could have Nancy Murphy come up, and Nancy's going to tell us a little bit about the beer and then the croquet tournament, and then we'll go ahead and adjourn and start that.
Okay. We will be playing 9-wicket croquet, one person, one ball on the front lawn. Okay? And there's a sign-up sheet down there. If anybody wants to play in the tournament, I'd like to sign up so we can organize who the grand winner is. There's also going to be a court set up in front of Selma for those who just want to play for fun. I'll explain the rules more down there in case you don't remember the rules from your childhood. My friend Jeff Rudy has brewed a selection of summer beers for everyone's enjoyment. Those are located on the front porch. And I'd also like to warn you that the term high gravity means high alcohol content. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy.
Thanks, Nancy. And there's also food in the dining room. With that being said, is there any other business anybody needs to bring up? Yes.
Has the board taken any position on the restriction of vehicular traffic on the new mall?
No, we have not. That's come up, and I don't think the board has met since that actually has come up.
Thank you.
Do you have a view on that, sir?
I think it should be prohibited unless someone can show that the engineering of the subsurface structure is adequate for vehicular traffic. I intend to write a letter to the store about that.
Anything else? Nothing else? Then do I have a motion to adjourn? And second?
Second?
And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then beer, food, and croquet. Thank you for coming out today.